time with IPJ and my guy, John Buckets. Buckets! Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. How you doing?
Merry Christmas. It is Christmas morning at this moment that we are recording this. Merry Christmas to everyone. Ian, you look fantastic in the Santa hat. Not quite used to that volume here because we've been doing the night shows in the morning. Still not totally woken up, but now I am, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we are obviously pre-recording this one to be dropped right on Christmas Day for you. Therefore, it is in the Christmas spirit for me and Buckets to be here with you all ahead of the Boxing Day, December 26 games for everyone out there. Buckets, it's been a hell of a year for us here at Stoppage Time, but Christmas has come at the right time because I think we both kind of need a break at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with, as you like to say, fucking footy, how it's going. So many crazy results. Maybe the Christmas break will kind of knock everything back to normal. Teams will do what they're supposed to be doing.
Listen, we don't have much time to mess around here, so we're going to get straight into the action. And I know, obviously, there's a lot of people out there, the loyal listeners, who just simply don't have time on Christmas Day to watch the full hour of our show. But Merry Christmas to you all. This is our gift to you. We do want to let you know that on social media, of course, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts, and of course, on TikTok, you can go get the bets directly if you're looking for that. We'll try to put them out as much as we possibly can. It depends on how much time producer Jeff has to work his magic to put those little shorts out there for you. So if you do see the shorts on social media, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, and then they're on YouTube Shorts as well. So please thank producer Jeff for that one if you jump into the comments. On today's show, we got a pretty special show for you because we're going to do a Premier League bonanza because in the UK, they don't take fucking breaks around Christmas. They just keep going. They run all the way through, Buckets. And I thought maybe it would be best for us to kind of have a look back at the Premier League and see where we are right now and maybe have a look into the future of the Premier League. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that, Ian.
All right, let's get into the Premier League standings right now. Liverpool top of the table on 39 points. It's pretty ridiculous how good they are actually looking right now. Chelsea just behind them on 35 points, and then you've got Arsenal on 33 points. And where are Manchester City? Manchester City all the way down in 7th place on 27 points. They've won 8 from 17 and lost 6 from 17. If I'm not mistaken, they won 3 games all of last season on the way to winning the Premier League. In the bottom half of the table, it's getting a little tasty because, of course, Southampton and Ipswich and Wolves are in the bottom 3. Southampton and Wolves just replaced their boss, which is really interesting because, of course, you got the new manager bounce immediately. Wolves most recently getting a good result against Leicester, Southampton getting a draw against Fulham, and going into these games on Boxing Day, the 26th of December, it's going to be pretty interesting. So here's the fixtures that we've got coming up on the 26th of December. Buckets, anything catch your attention here for the games?
There's a couple I'm really excited about. I'm actually really excited about this Wolves-Manchester United game, and not a lot of people I feel like are excited about Man United right now with how they're kind of performing here in recent weeks, but I think we're going to see a lot of goals in that one. And then I'm curious to see if Manchester City can kind of break their streak here. Everton normally would be a gift for them, but I just don't know what's going to happen yet with them.
Nobody knows. That's the beauty of it. And speaking of nobody knowing, let's have a look at the futures right now and how things sit, Buckets, because to win the Premier League, the standings right now obviously don't lie to us that Liverpool would be favourites. Minus 200 is still, I would say, playable if you're going to parlay it with other leagues around European football. Any other team interest you there? I mean, Chelsea are second, and they're at plus 650. Still, anything can happen in the Prem.
2 weeks ago when we talked about the Chelsea future, it was plus 1,500. So that's a lot of movement we're seeing Chelsea. If they would have gotten points off of who'd they just draw to? Everton, I think. Then we would have seen Chelsea probably closer to that plus 400 mark. But still, I like a Chelsea sprinkle, but I like what Ian said. Using Liverpool as a parlay piece is not a bad idea either.
As you look at Manchester City right there at plus 2,800, Buckets, you're probably not going anywhere near that.
No, I'm staying far away from Man City. They'll turn it around eventually. I know it's going to happen, but it might take a couple weeks still, so I'm going to wait.
You know what can happen, right? Manchester City finished like 8th or something like that in the Premier League and win the fucking Champions League. Let's have a look at the possibility, obviously, finishing in the top 4 here, Buckets. These are crazy odds, obviously. But Manchester City to finish in the top 4 is at minus 155. Quite tasty. The one I've got my eyes on, though, is Newcastle United. They're pushing themselves further and further up the table, plus 650 to finish themselves in the top 4. I know they're outside on 8th place right now, 26 points, looking in, but there's every opportunity for them to push themselves into the top 4.
There absolutely is. What I'm curious about is we don't see Bournemouth on that list at all, who's currently 5th on the table. So I'm curious what Bournemouth's number is. Maybe they're just flying high right now and everyone thinks they're going to fall off, but they're 5th for a reason. They're looking good this season.
All right, you know, wouldn't be the episode of Stoppage Time if we didn't get you some wagers from our betting expert yet. That is right. It is the blonde bombshell betting unicorn, John Bucket Timer. Buckets, you again hit the big time this past weekend. Great job. Before we do get into the bets, I want to kind of ask you your feeling because we did the comparison between parlays and straights. Can you basically tell us what actually happened?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about the importance of betting parlays smartly, which I don't think is a word, so I'm not helping myself here, but being careful when you bet parlays. Maybe instead of going for the plus 10,000, you make some responsible minus 110 to minus 120 range parlays. And we did great. Just doing things like Porto on the same game parlay against Morleans. There's a lot of really cool ways you can bet it. I think we did really well. And I think we showed people that you don't have to go crazy to find success with parlays.
All right, let's get straight into it because this is going to be a very busy schedule. For the loyal listeners out there, I want to stick strictly to the Premier League, and I'm looking for 8-game bets from you because there are 8 games on December 26th, which I'm looking forward to as well. The Boxing Day games don't disappoint. The Christmas schedule is pretty crazy, and there are a lot of games for us to go through. We just broke down the fixtures, the league standings, and the futures for everybody out there. And Buckets, I want a bet from every single fucking game. There is no restrictions here. You can go anywhere you want, but we are in the Premier League only. And I want to start with our first game, which of course is Manchester City against Everton. It is the 7:30 a.m. Eastern game to look forward to for everybody on the 26th. Where are you going?
I'm going to a very controversial take here. I know this is one that is going to get people riled up on Twitter and X and TikTok and Instagram, but I think that Man City's streak of only winning one game in their last 13 is going to continue. I am looking Everton to do some damage in this one, not to win, not even to draw, but Everton plus 1.5 goals on the spread, which means as long as Everton win, draw, or lose by one, you cash this ticket is minus 115. Everton just showed against Chelsea that this is a team that is capable of locking things down, parking the bus, and playing these very frustrating, long, stressful games here. This plus 0.15 handicap goal is honestly really good to me because I think even if Man City win, it's going to be a low scoring 1-0, maybe a 2-1, maybe something crazy where it ends 0-0 again here, Ian. But I'm just not having faith in Man City quite yet to have those blowout victories that we're used to seeing from them.
Yeah, listen, I love it. Just repeat it for everybody out what the odds were and what the bed was.
It's Everton plus 1.5 goals on the spread at minus 115.
Explain how that works because there's a lot of people out there who need to understand exactly how to fucking place that wager, Buckets.
Yep, absolutely. If you go to your sports book, it is most likely going to be under the tab labeled handicap or spread. And what this means is that essentially Everton starts the game up a goal and a half. So as long as Everton don't lose by 2 or more goals to Manchester City, this game passes. So Everton can lose 1-0, they can lose 2-1, they can lose 3-2, and you would still cash this wager.
I'm going to play something really interesting for you here. This is crazy. Of course, this is a big game. Manchester City you would expect to be favourites, and at some point they're going to start winning games again. Everton Football Club have got the England national team goalkeeper in between the sticks. Listen to these statistics. Jordan Pickford has now kept more clean sheets than any other goalkeeper in Premier League this season, with 7 clean sheets. 5 of them have come in his last 6 appearances, and he's conceded just 1 goal in his last 450 minutes of Premier League action at home at Goodison Park. I know this one's away from home, but having Pickford in between the sticks is pretty special, and that is a lovely little tasty wager from our expert, John Bucketsheimer. Okay, we move to the 10 a.m. Eastern kickoffs. We start with a game between Bournemouth, as you pointed out, Buckets, are currently sitting in 5th place against 16th place Crystal Palace. I mean, this one's interesting to me because Bournemouth, incredible performance against Manchester United most recently. Another 3-0 victory for them. They did the same last season as well. They've lost 5 games from the games that they've played so far. They have won the 8 compared to the Crystal Palace team, who are trying to rejuvenate themselves. They've won only 3 games this season, but just got humiliated at home against Arsenal Football Club. So I'm intrigued to see where Buckets is going with this one.
I am going to keep riding this Bournemouth train that maybe a lot of people are scared to be riding here. But not only did they have a great performance against Manchester United, they also beat Man City this season 2-1. They beat Wolves 4-2. They beat Ipswich Town 2-1. This is a team that likes a tasty, high-scoring affair. And this is a team, especially when playing at home, they've been really good. They beat Arsenal 2-0 this season at home. This is a team that is just consistently producing home results, and they are hitting above their weight class, absolutely. And eventually they will be stopped. but Crystal Palace is not the team that's going to stop them. They've got all the momentum in the world coming off of that Manchester United win. So I love Bournemouth over 1.5 team total at -120 here. I'm not taking Bournemouth to win. I'm not taking both teams to score. All that has to happen is at some point in this fixture, Bournemouth needs to get 2 goals, which at home, they've been doing consistently enough this season against good clubs that I think they do it no problem against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, as of course you saw producer Jeff just pointing out there with the graphic, average goals of 1.59 goals per games for Bournemouth, which is quite ridiculous. And Crystal Palace are conceding just over 1.5 at 1.53 goals per game. Yeah, but I also find the money line pretty interesting. Bournemouth, who are on a great run right now, -105 at home against Crystal Palace, which is ridiculous. I know Palace have drawn 7 games, but that is a ridiculous line on the money line for a team that just went to Old Trafford and beat Manchester United 3-0. They're at home to Crystal Palace and they're -105 on the money line. To me, that's absolutely insane. All right, the next game is a tasty one because it is an all-London affair. It is Chelsea against Fulham. Chelsea are doing so well right now, second in the table right now. They're flying high against Fulham, who are 9th in the table. A little bit of a disappointing performance from them against Southampton, most recently at home. Currently sitting in 9th place in the table. They don't lose many games, Fulham, which is interesting to me. They've only lost 4 games so far this season compared to Chelsea, who have won 10 and lost only 2. I think Chelsea have surprised all of us with the goals that they're scoring so far. Obviously, you can see the biggest win right there against Wolves away from home was 6-2. And the biggest defeat there for Fulham was at home by 4-1 against Wolves, which was interesting enough. However, we're seeing goals per game on average from Chelsea incredibly high right now. It's 2.18 goals per game on average that they're scoring. So, Buckets, where are you going?
I am going for goals. I'm going for the stats here. 2.18 scored per match for Chelsea, 1.41 for Fulham. We have 2 very offensive-minded teams, and regardless of the poor results coming off, with both teams coming off a 0-0 draw, I'm looking at bounce-back spots for both teams here. I love goals everywhere in this matchup. I like both teams to score. I like over 2.5. I like over 3.5. I like first-half goals. I just love everything goals here. So I'm going to do a same-game parlay of BTTS and over 2.5 goals. If you look at Chelsea's matchups this season, minus that 0-0 coming off Everton, which Ian already talked about, included the best goalie in all of England here. It's been goals everywhere. 5-1 win against Shamrock Rovers, 2-1 against Brentford, 3-1 against Aston, 4-3 against Tottenham, and 5-1 against Southampton. Those are their last 5 fixtures across all competitions at or before that Everton matchup. I think we're going to see 3, 4, 5, 6 goals in this one, Ian. So I'm going to take the BTTS and over, and I'm just going to wait for that goal pop up on my phone every 5 minutes.
I'm looking at Chelsea to be leading at halftime in this game because I think after Christmas, sometimes it's important to get off to a good start and then you can make some sort of changes here. So I'm looking at Chelsea on the halftime money line and it's -115, which is quite tasty to me. I think they've got an opportunity of getting a couple of goals in that first 45 minutes and putting this game to bed. But I will say this, though, Fulham's a dangerous team that anytime they can score a goal, as Buckets pointed out there, if they get that opening goal, this game could be a really high-scoring fixture. All right, let's go to the next game at 10 a.m. Eastern. It is, of course, Newcastle against Aston Villa. This is a really nice game to look forward to because these two teams, I think, are battling to try and get into the top 4 in the Premier League. Newcastle in 8th place right now have won 7 and lost 5. They have drawn 5 games so far this season. And then we see Aston Villa kind of in a bit of a difficult situation right now, but still a dangerous team that can win football games against anyone, as they've proven most recently against Manchester City. 6th place in the table right now, pushing himself into real contention to finish in the top 4. They've only lost 5. Goals per match, over 1.5 for both of them. They do concede goals, and that's where it gets interesting here. So where's our boy Buckets going with Newcastle, who have 5 clean sheets to their name?
This is going to be my first player prop here out of the EPL Boxing Day slate. But I will just say this first and foremost. I think out of every single matchup, this matchup on Boxing Day will have the most goals. I think this is a game where if we saw a 4-3 scoreline, I'm not shocked in the slightest. But what I will say is right now, Newcastle has been on fire. And when they play at home, this is a team that you do not want to mess with. They just beat Ipswich Town 4-0, Brentford 3-1 in the EFL Cup quarterfinal, Leicester City 4-0. They did lose to Brentford 4-2, but again, high-scoring games everywhere. Before that, a 3-3 draw against Liverpool. When I'm looking at this matchup, I want to find one player and target him above everything else. And if you're going to target a player at Newcastle, you bet your ass it's going to be a name I'm definitely going to mispronounce, Alexander Isak. Isaac, got to help me out here. Isak, is that it? Nice, Isak. Okay, yeah, we're taking him not to score, but to score or assist, which is still minus 110, which is crazy considering he's doing
Wow.
this almost every single game. He has 15 starts this season, 10 goals, 4 assists. If you can't get the to score assist line, take him to score at plus 140. That's fine. But I'm taking that to be safe, Ian, because he's been a fundamental player that has been a core of this team that is scoring and assisting everywhere. I think 110 on FanDuel is a ridiculous line for this play.
Yeah, considering the dude just scored a freaking hat trick, man. I mean, that is unbelievable, that type of a line right there. The guy's involved in pretty much everything that happens. Something that caught my attention right there. Listen, I love the bet, but you did mention there that this could be a high score and affair. So I'm looking at the game lines here, obviously, for total goals in regular time. Over 3.5 total goals in this game is in plus numbers. It gets you to plus 145. That sounds
Ooh.
like it's quite interesting play. Over 4.5 is plus 330. Over 5.5 is plus 650. And Buckets just said this has the possibility of being 4-3. So over 6.5 is plus 1,300. So there's a potential ladder out there for us.
There's absolutely, Santa buckets here with a sack full of goodies for everyone on Christmas morning. I absolutely love it. That's bad phrasing. I love the ladder, though. I think it's definitely worth a sprinkle. And look at first half goals as well for some fun.
All right, let's get to craziness because whenever you talk about Tottenham Hotspur, you immediately go to craziness because right now they're absolutely insane for conceding goals. Let's get to the statistics here. Thank you, producer Jeff, because Nottingham Forest against Spurs is a really tasty game here. Fourth in the table, Nottingham Forest are having quite a season under Nuno Espirito Santo. But Ange Postecoglou has found a side now in the 11th place in the table. They've lost a ridiculous 8 games and just got humiliated by 6-3. Are you not entertained at home against Liverpool Football Club? So they have lost those 8 games. But if you look at the goals per game ratio, Tottenham scoring 2.29 goals per game on average. Tottenham conceding 1.47 goals per game on average against a team like Nottingham Forest, who have 6 clean sheets to their name, which is really impressive and why they're in the top 4. And of course, they ended Christmas in the top 4 for the first time, I think, in 35 years or 40 years. But this one has real tasty implications here because Forest against Spurs, I think, would be a danger game for Forest.
I think so too. I think this is another high scoring game, which I'm very excited about. But I do think that Nottingham Forest will still score goals, plural. I think this is a game where if you took team totals on both sides, that's not a bad way to look at this wager. And I've seen a lot of people on social media saying that after that 6-3 beatdown, Tottenham's going to try to play more defensive, park the bus, and kind of switch things up. That's not how Spurs are playing after any of these losses. This is not the first bad loss they've seen this season, and they're not the kind of team that's changing anything. Ange Postecoglou plays an extremely high line, and this is a team that no matter what's going on in the game, they're going for goals, which leads them to get beaten to hell on the counterattack. I'm on Nottingham over 1.5 team total again here at minus 115. Nottingham is just too good right now to not score against the Spurs side that will also score. Take BTTS in this one, but they're going to keep conceding. It might not be 6 goals, but again, if this is a 2-2 draw in, I think that's a very realistic result for two teams that know how to score and don't always know how to play the best defense.
I've got a tasty one for you here, Buckets, that I quite like from this game. I'm looking forward to seeing goals in this game as well. Over 1.5 in the first half, the first
Yep.
45 minutes to have over 1.5 goals is plus 115 between these two teams. Is it a possibility? Is it a play?
It's a Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we might cash our Nottingham Forest bet in the first half. If this is 2-1 at halftime Forest, just saying. Just saying.
All right, 3 more games to get to. Let's go to the last one that's at that 10 a.m. Eastern window, and it's something to look forward to because Southampton, who are obviously fighting
Oh,
for the bottom of the table, currently languishing in that relegation zone, and they go up against a West Ham side who are falling closer and closer to that relegation zone in 14th spot. As you can see, Southampton have only won 1 game on the season. They have lost 13 games compared to what West Ham have done this season, which is 5 wins, 7 losses for them, and the 5 draws. The average goals per game, obviously conceding wise for Southampton, has been poor. 2.12 goals per game that they're losing. Their worst defeat, of course, was against Tottenham when they lost by 5-0 a couple of weeks ago. And then for West Ham, it's been inconsistent under Lopetegui, a new boss in charge. I have no idea where to go here because Ivan Juric is now in charge of Southampton. He was Mr. fucking boring in Serie A over the last couple of years. At first with Torino, more recently with Roma. Not necessarily great offensive attacking football, but knows how to get a fucking result.
Yeah, when I texted producer Jeff about my bet for this game, I said this is the one game out of the entire slate that I have no fucking clue how to bet. I can find a wager anywhere. I'm very confident that I can go to the Kazakhstani U14 teams and find a way to bet this game. But West Ham is one of the most inconsistent sides on the planet right now, and Southampton is a team that I have not won a bet on yet this season. When I bet them to get murdered, they play the best game of their life. When I bet them to win, they get tossed 5-0. So this is a very tough one. So rather than give out a specific bet, Ian, I texted producer Jeff this. Wait until Nicholas Fulkrug subs in for West Ham and take his shots on target or take him to Skull live. Because right now, Nicholas Fulkrug, anytime goal score, is plus 180. But as soon as he subs in the 60th minute, it's going to be closer to plus 400, plus 500 if you wait for that live line. Because he should be starting. He's coming off a game with a goal. This is a team that needs to start utilizing him. But eventually, Ian, I think he becomes a starter for West Ham. And I think we see goals from Fulkrug a lot here. So that's how I had to bet this one, is just waiting for a live lean rather than taking everything up front.
Listen, Jared Bourne is my guy for West Ham. And if anyone's going to step up, it's going to be to score or assist Jared Bourne. That would be the play for me because he's the danger man out there. He's an England international now. He's having a pretty good season for West Ham. Plus 170 anytime goal score for Jared Bourne. You heard it here first. Buckets, let's go to the later game kickoffs. This is around about noon. It's 12:30 Eastern, and it is Wolves against Manchester United. Now, you thought the last one was hard. I have no idea where you're going on this one because Wolves, of course, they replaced their boss as well. Most recently got that bounce and got a victory at the weekend against Leicester. A really, really good victory against Leicester in that relegation fight. Going up against Amorim's Manchester United, of course, which I hate to say it. Wolves' goal scoring has not been a problem for them. 1.59 goals per game. Goals conceded, 2.35. That would tell me there's a chance here for Manchester United to score.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this bet is actually my long shot of the entire slate here because I'm looking at a Ruben Amorim side that needs to bounce back. This is a manager that clearly knows what he's doing because as soon as he left Sporting, the best club in all of Portugal, they completely fell apart. This is a good manager who needs to find some good results, and you have to bounce back after getting stomped 3-0 at home. So I'm expecting a big bounce back from Manchester United, and I'm also expecting Wolves to do whatever the hell they want at this point because this Wolves side is hard to get a read on, but they're in a relegation battle, which means they have to be going for points no matter what. I think we see goals in this one. I think we see goals early in this one. And Ian, I actually think we see both teams to score in the first half, which is plus 275. Wolves, as you mentioned, their defense is appalling. It is abysmal, but that is because they're so busy trying to score and going for goals and playing forward attacking football that they're getting beaten to piss on the counter. Manchester United will score multiple goals in this one. Manchester United will win this one, but Manchester United will concede, and I think it's going to happen in the first half here.
Listen, it's always possible, especially with this Wolves side who are scoring and conceding goals. As you can see, the stats simply don't lie. Manchester United do have 6 clean sheets to their name, but they are still conceding shots. They're still conceding goals, and to lose 3-0 against Bournemouth at home, it was a bit of an embarrassment for them. I think this one's going to be interesting. I'd look at that Manchester United money line, if anything, but of course, playing Manchester United right now for anybody out there is a dangerous fucking game. All right, the final game to look forward to is, of course, the team right now that everybody's trying to catch in European football is Liverpool against Leicester, who are struggling, obviously, near the bottom of the table. They recently replaced their own boss and brought in Ruud van Nistelrooy. Liverpool top of the table right now, of course, flying high with the 12 wins and 1 defeat on the season. That sole defeat came against Nottingham Forest after the international break. It's the only defeat that Arne Slot has had since he's taken over the club in 24 games. They're scoring a ridiculous amount of goals, average goals per game 2.31, and then of course they're not conceding too many, but they are still conceding, which I think there's a vulnerability there for them with the 1 goal per game on average. And let's not forget, they did have a crazy result against Spurs by 6-3, but they still conceded 3 goals in that game, and they were pretty poor goals to be conceding. But maybe we can't complain too much because they've got Mo Salah and they've got some superstars. Buckets, where you going?
You already mentioned what I'm going to bet here. They've got Mo Salah, and that's really all that matters for Liverpool right now. I will say Mo Salah right now, anytime goal score is minus 210. So I'm not going to give out that. But what I will say is Mo Salah, anytime assist, Ian, plus 100. Even money. I know that people want to watch him score, which makes sense because he has 15 goals in his 16 starts, but he has 11 assists in his 15 or 16 starts as well. 26 goal contributions over 16 matches. This dude has been unstoppable. He's scoring and assisting pretty much every game right now. So if you want to parlay that and have some fun, feel free. But I love him to assist in a matchup that I think Liverpool probably scores 3 or more goals in. And if they're going to score 3 or more goals, he's going to have a goal, and he's sure as hell going to have an assist there as well.
Yeah, his statistics are simply crazy coming out of this past weekend. He is the first player in Premier League history to score and assist double figures in both categories ahead of Christmas. It's absolutely insane what he's doing. Probably the best player in the world right now, but he's still chasing an all-time leading goal scorer list at Liverpool Football Club. He has now moved himself into a position where he's competing and he's got some big players up there that he's trying to catch. Stevie Gerrard, Billy Liddell, now Mohamed Salah's at 229, and he's chasing Gordon Hodgson at 241, Roger Hunt at 285, and Ian Rush at 346 goals for Liverpool Football Club. With the end of his contract coming up, who knows what's going to happen, but he is definitely the guy right now. And I tell you, I play Premier League fantasy. He's the best player that you can have with the fantasy points, with most goals, most assists, and obviously bonus points as well. He's just unbelievable. And against Spurs, he had 2 goals and 2 assists to his name. He's just unstoppable right now, as our Liverpool Football Club and as is our guy, John Buckets Eimer. Buckets! Another episode in the books in under 30 minutes. Good job, man. Well done, buddy. That was fun.
I had a lot of fun, man. This is always good to challenge yourself because a lot of times when we have 2 to 3 bets in a single league, I'll kind of, pick and choose, but I like kind of having to find something in every matchup. Kind of just works the brain a little bit.
Yeah, it's different and it's certainly a lot of fun. Listen, I hope you're enjoying yourself over the festive period. I hope the loyal listeners are enjoying themselves over the festive period. Please spend a lot of time responsibly with their family, friends, and loved ones. Bet responsibly as well, because I know probably a lot of you out there are having a few bevies. You're having a few drinks, right? So, yeah, don't get too carried away with the irresponsible betting. Be smart when you're doing so. We just gave a bet for every single game in the Premier League, which is kind of crazy for us to do. And it's not something we normally would recommend for everybody out there, but we want you to have some fun over the festive period. So please do it responsibly. Make sure you comment on our YouTube page. I saw a lot of people out there in the comments. Thank you so much for doing that. We'll do another episode soon with the loyal listener comments, and we'll try to jump back to the previous episodes where your comments have been. So if you want to be heard, share a comment. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I am noticing, Buckets, we're getting more and more subscribers. It's not moving as fast as I fucking like, but it's still moving up in the right direction, which is good. Like and share the show as much as possible. Buckets, where can people find you?
You can find me at my parents' house for Christmas, or if you're asking where to find me on social media, Bucket John Betts on X, Instagram, all of the socials, same tag across the board.
All right, give a little shout out to also the subscription service where people can get extra plays from you, Buckets, because I think it's important that people recognize you're not just a part of our show Stoppage Time and CBS Sports Early Edge. You're also someone who does offer the slate, the war slate on average in your subscription service. So please promote that.
You can find me on Dub Club again at Bucket John Betts. That is where you can get all my plays anywhere from live betting Kazakhstani League to Boxing Day bets and everything in between. That is where I put my content on.
All right. Appreciate everybody. Buckets, great job as always. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Be responsible. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Bet responsibly. May the bets be with us on the 26th of December. Boxing Day for everybody out there. Buckets, I'm wishing you all the best. You're on a bit of a tear right now, which I'm absolutely loving. But everybody out there, enjoy yourself. Please make sure you absolutely have it!
Stoppage time.